Hello, everyone. It was amazing to experience how many of you wrote to me when I posted my equinox forecast in Hungarian, whether or not you need to learn Magyar. And I decided, of course, not. You don't need to, you can. It's one of the most difficult languages in the world, but it's the seed language. So Hungarian has about 67% of the so-called ancient etymons that are the basics of communication. So if you want to, you can venture and learn it. But I decided to create a PowerPoint with the relevant charts. So this is what I'm going to show you now. And by the way, thank you for letting me know what you think about my work. I really greatly appreciate it. I just finished teaching in London. I came home last night. My plane was about 3 hours late. That's usually the case whenever I travel in the evening. That's why I don't really like to travel in the evening, but what can we do? Anyhow, here's the March 20th. The 20th of March this year, so that was yesterday. I was too tired. I was hoping to come home earlier and do it in the evening, but I was just too tired. So you're getting it today. It is still relevant, and since it has a Virgo ascendant, it means that it's going to be relevant for one full year. So up till the next Vernal Equinox. So this is for London. So you need to change the place. In London, the exact time was yesterday, the 20th at 15:34, something like that. So in the afternoon, that was the exact moment when the sun entered Aries. And as you know, if we look at the energy patterns around us, and I keep saying that this is what we are doing in astrology. We don't actually search the skies so much. Astrology describes what is happening in nature, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, and especially in continental, so temperate climates where you have 4 seasons. And what we look at is what is happening out in nature, and we are trying to reflect it back to our position here on the Earth plane. So this is what we see, and I listed the most important highlights for the London chart. As you can see, Virgo is rising, and spot on the ascendant, there's trans-Pluto. Now, what is trans-Pluto? It is a TNO that not too many people work with. In karmic astrology, trans-Pluto is the ruler of Libra, because the official role of Libra is to overbridge, to balance, to keep both sides of a situation and somehow incorporate it as a whole. And this is exactly what trans-Pluto does. It is responsible for channeling or mediation. And both are kind of linked to Libra if you consider its basic role, which will be interesting to look at the autumnal equinox. We are going to do that as well. So here trans-Pluto is rising. And if you look at the situation, by the way, that is happening in Europe, especially in Ukraine, please don't believe what mainstream media is telling you about this conflict. It's not what you see there. I don't want to take sides. All wars are horrible. It's never the little people who are responsible for it. It's always the big shots. And I only will say this: look at the map. Look at the map. Look at the world map. Okay. And you will see that Europe, Russia, and China are one region, really. And if these 3 fighting and competing regions could unite in some sort of treaty or some sort of agreement, then it would be a world power. And this is exactly what the United States can't allow to happen, because Europe has the know-how and the intelligence, Russia has the resources, and China has cheap and big amounts of labor. And if you combine these 3, it's a world power. Now, this is the reason for the Ukrainian war, the background. Very simplistically said, and it is terrible, and my heart goes out to the individuals but don't believe what mainstream media wants you to believe. It's not like that. This is all I say. Make an intelligent guess. Make, there's the internet, so you can find different sources. Just research it if you want to know the truth. Now, here are other highlights of the London chart. I just needed to say this because we are going to look at the chart in a different angle, and you will see what I meant then. The midheaven is very interesting in the London chart because it has the northern axis is spot on the MCIC angle, and on the MC you have the North Node Dark Moon Lilith conjunction. Also very close to the midheaven is asteroid Lilith and Sedna. It's actually the MC is at the asteroid Lilith Sedna midpoint. What does that mean? First of all, the fact that the North Node is on the midheaven suggests that, yes, in order to have a future, you need to accept your destiny, North Node, and also somehow understand and eliminate the curse, Dark Moon Lilith. The asteroid Lilith is revolt against injustice, and Sedna is dissection, actually creation through dissection. And so it means that we need to create a completely new future for ourselves, where we acknowledge past hurts, and at the same time we are brave enough to revolt against any kind of injustice that is going on. So that's the midheaven, that's the future. On the IC, you have the South Node. So two past energy patterns are uniting. South Node is your karmic abilities, your karmic experiences, and the IC is the hidden past. So you need to understand both in order then to shoot out into the future and deal with it. If we go around, we see Vesta, the focusing principle, the high priestess, conjunct the vertex, which is the point of no free will. So focus on the things that you have no free will over. Mars, Venus in Aquarius are still very, very tight. So the masculine and feminine energies should be uniting. At the same time, Juno, the first lady, but also alliances, is blocked by Saturn. This is a blocking conjunction. Australia is quite close to the descendant, but not exactly conjunct because it's still in Aquarius and the descendant is in Pisces. But you have the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction quite tight, and Neptune. Jupiter is in an applying, both Jupiter and Mercury are in an applying conjunction towards Neptune. And the sun, of course, is at 0 degrees Aries, so it just entered. That's why we have the vernal equinox. And in Aries, you also have Chiron, Pallas Athena, so you should understand your karmic wounds through wisdom. And Aries, of course, is still there. It's going to be there for quite a while. And in Taurus, you have a couple of planets, of course, what I already mentioned around the MC, and Uranus. So basically, that is the chart, but what's really making it interesting is the fact that the moon is at the very, very end of Libra. So it's an anaretic moon. It's a Libra moon, which is nice and kind and complacent. And yes, I want balance. I want equality. I want equal chances. I'm very fair. I'm looking at stuff in a very moderate and balanced way, but I'm anaretic, which means that I don't know where to go. I have no idea how to proceed. Here's the hemisphere emphasis of the chart. And as you can see, you have 7 planets above the horizon and 5 below, which is kind of turned around by the personal planets, because you have the Sun and Mercury above the horizon and the Moon, Venus, and Mars below it. The 2 luminaries are at their best places. The Moon is in the subconscious, and the Sun consciousness, ego development is above the horizon. So that's quite balanced. What is not balanced is the Western and Eastern hemisphere. On the Eastern hemisphere, you have only 2 planets and only the Moon. And on the Western, you have 10. So the need to make alliances, the need to reconcile stuff and to understand what the other person wants and needs is a very heavily emphasized in this chart. If we look at the modalities and the elements, they're quite balanced. You have 4 cardinals, 4.5 fixed, and 3 mutables, actually 4 mutables. This is a mistake I made, sorry, I know by heart. It's 4 mutables. So yeah, so the space-time moment has enough stamina to start things, and also to reconcile, and also to change, so that everything is there. When we look at the elements, we have 2 fire, 4 air, 3.5 water, and 4 earth. But it's quite balanced. If you look at the personal significators, you have a fiery sun, an airy moon, a watery south node in Scorpio, and the ascendant is in Earth in the London chart. So that's quite balanced. But here's the thing that I wanted to show you, and what struck me really as something very, very interesting. Because the moon stands alone. And I love Babylonian visual astrology, for I'm eternally grateful to Bernadette Brady, who introduced it into the common lore of astrology, because she worked a lot with charts and understanding what they meant. And whenever the moon is prominent in any of the charts, it is quite significant. Now we're going to look at it in 2 ways. Number one is what mundane astrology says about the moon, which is the masses. So here you see that the masses are kind of opposite everything else. And this is an interesting moon. It's Libra, so it tries to be nice. It tries to be complacent, but it's anaretic, so it doesn't have any power really. And every force in the sky is against it. So it's like, okay, here I am, the common person, the common man, and I would like to do something, but I can't because everyone is against me. That's the moment of the vernal equinox. But what is also even more interesting is that in Babylonian visual astrology, this is a lame moon because it doesn't know what to do. Normally what happened in the sky, as the moon was really quite fast and fast moving, the fastest moving planet, the Chaldean priests looked at it and they said that whenever the moon was underneath the planets, Sin, okay, or Nannar it was called Sin in Assyrian times, and it was called Nannar in Sumerian times. And so Nannar Sin was serving the planets when it went below them, passed below them, and they were he was trying to rule them or put his power over them. In Babylonian astrology, the moon was a masculine figure, and he tried to overpower them while it was going over them. But in this case, no one is there. Actually, I decided to show you this in an animation as well, but just let's see what we have here. So the rest of the planets and asteroids and centaurs are really in 4 signs: Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus. So the 2 end signs and the 2 beginning signs. So this clearly shows the end of an era. So we are closing down an era. And actually, those who are interested in politics and listen to not the hysterical mainstream media analysts, but kind of normal people, they speak about the end of an era. And the new era is emerging, a new era of world power is emerging. Unfortunately, whenever this happened, it was always a world war. Let's hope that this time we won't have a world war, although this I don't like this chart in any sense, and I never liked it. When I did the Hungarian version, that was during Christmas last year in 2021. And I kept saying that I can't put my finger on what is going to happen, but I don't like this chart. I don't like this chart. I don't like the flavor of this chart. I don't like this helpless anaretic moon in Libra, totally powerless and totally overpowered by the rest of the thing. So if we actually look at the Babylonian visual astrology, this is the visible planets. So we have a sun moon quincunx, which is an opposition quincunx, because the Libra is still in, the moon is still in Libra and the sun is still already in Aries. So this is actually a very tight quincunx, really. I mean, it's within 1 degree, but it carries the opposition energy. Okay, and then Jupiter and Mercury would be conjunct in the sky as well. So this is what you would see. Of course, you wouldn't see this because the sun is still up. But Babylonian visual astrology is always for 24 hours. So I'm going to show you. Hopefully, I can. Okay. I can animate this chart. Hopefully you will see it. So this is it. I'm going to go. So this is when the sun is going down. I don't know whether I can do this. Actually, it doesn't allow me to. Oh yes, it is allowing me. So the sun went down, okay? And we don't see anything. And all of a sudden the moon came up, but it's alone. It's still alone. Come around midnight, 1 o'clock. The moon hits the mid-heaven, and it's still nothing else. The moon is alone in the sky. So the people are alone in this whole thing. And then is still in the small hours. This is about 4:34 in London. Venus and Mars appear on the horizon. Here they become visible with Saturn as well. So you have 3 planets, but they are too far away from the moon. Yeah, there's going to be a square between the moon and Mars, Venus. So this, I think it's an applying square. Yes, it is. But it's already intact here. And then finally, at sunrise, okay, everything is disappearing again. So this is what you see. That's the thing that you would have seen when you are when you were if you had been a Babylonian astrologer. This is what you would have said. You would have said that, okay, fine, the moon is alone. The moon doesn't know how to serve and also doesn't know how to overpower anyone because it is nowhere near. And by the time it actually can engage in something, it's the square to the Venus-Mars conjunction. So that's quite interesting. So this is what you have if you only look at the visible planets and actually what is happening in the sky. Now let's see some key features of, besides the this emphasis, this imbalance in hemisphere and this huge overpowered moon. And there is a complex planetary picture at 27, 29 degrees. I did include the sun because when you have 0 degrees, when you have the sun at 0 degrees, because the sun has a diameter of ½ degree, 32 minutes of an arc. It's actually halfway through the other sign yet. You have to remember this. Okay, so it applies to it as well, although here the energy is crooked. So this is what we have. We do have an anaretic trapeze involving the sun, moon, the black moon in Gemini and Pluto in Capricorn. This is an interesting and difficult trapeze. The base is a trine, which provides harmony, but the sides are how to get to the top, how to get to the stage and show the world what I want are squares. And there's a cardinal square and a mutable square. Luckily, there's no fixed squares in this here, but 2 squares anyhow. So it means that to get to the top is quite difficult. It has challenges. And the top, of course, is a sextile, which is brilliant because you have the chance to actually, with the Sun-Pluto sextile, which is out of sign, but still there, you can be the magician and you can show the world what you would like them to know. There's also an air grand trine involving Black Moon, Lilith, Moon, and Australia, the Karma breaker. And air grand trines are quite good because they lend intelligence to the space-time. Let's put it this way. And you have a fixed Earth engine. Engines are great because they give you driving force. The fixed Earth engine is Moon, Pluto, and Dark Moon, the Dark Moon Sedna here on MC. And there's also the fixed air engine, and there's also a yod kind of. It's not really there because the sun is already in Aries, and this is, with Sedna it is closing, but not with the MC and the dark moon, but at the apex is the anaretic moon. So you have a number of interesting configurations here. If you want to understand configurations, just go and take a look. And also anything at 27, 29 degree in this chart will be entering this complex planetary picture. The most important portion is the trapeze, and maybe the yod, the finger of fate, because it involves the sun and the moon. And as I said, this portion of the yod, the quincunx portion between the sun and the moon, is interesting because it has an opposition flavor. Now let's see what else is here in the London chart. So you won't really get this exactly the same way, because here in the London chart, there's a huge emphasis on past and future. And but anywhere in the world, if you take the moment of the vernal equinox, you will have a dark moon Lilith conjunct north node, opposite the south node, of course. So you will have this dissolved opposition with this tiny angel wing on the top, involving Neptune in Pisces, which is very strong, of course, in its own sign, and Aries in Aries, which has been there for ages. So but that's drastically altered outward circumstances, and Neptune is your dreams. And this little angel wing between the north node Neptune and at the apex of which is Aries simply shows that yes, we should have dreams, and we should kind of prepare for outward changes and drastically altered outward circumstances. And of course, we should add the fact that there's some sort of curse that we need to accept. There's always some curses that we need to accept in our lives. If you want to be brave, if you want to proceed, you need to do it against, sometimes against society, sometimes against your own family, because you need to actually act according to your conscience. There's a sliver also in this chart. I call this a sliver because if you can see, it's not really closing. Yes, you do have a semi-sextile between Chiron, Pallas Athena, and Uranus. So it's closing in a way, but the Uranus-Ceres portion does not. And slivers are important because whenever you don't have a close configuration, it means the energies will kind of be focused on one point. It's just like a sliver or a splint or something that gets into your finger and it's really painful. And here, the energy that is focused on Mars, Venus in Aquarius. So that's what gets the most pressure. But there's also Chiron, Pallas Athena, so you need to learn and wisely overcome your karmic wounds. There's change and disruption, Uranus, and of course disrupting your well-being, your harmony, and your finances. That's what Uranus does in Taurus. Go back 84 years and take a look at the bird at that point, and you will understand what's happening now. But Ceres in Gemini is also there, and there's a trine from Ceres to the Mars-Venus conjunction, emphasizing nurturing, but this nurturing is mental because it's in an air sign. And then what else we have? This is maybe the most interesting feature of the London chart. But again, you will have this in any other chart if you work with Trans-Pluto, because you have a yod that is not really closing, simply because the Western Sun sextile is not there. It's too wide. It's applying though. So in the upcoming days, this will be closing. And again, I like to look at it in movement. So I think that one of the main features of Babylonian visual astrology was that they never looked at any single moment hung in time. They wanted to see how time unfolded and how the energy patterns unfolded in time. So this is going to be an applying yod, but within the yod, within it, you see a quindacele arrow. Mercury Jupiter on the one hand is making a quinquature 165 degrees to the ascendant in London, on which trans-Pluto is rising, and the other side is Juno. Juno Jupiter is reconciliation. It's the divine couple. It is contracts made in heaven. Mercury gives you rational energy, and the whole thing needs to be done by kind of transcending what is happening, going up there, trying to mediate, trying to download channeled information in order to understand. And then the Vesta Sun, which is not yet a sextile, as I said. I mean, for my taste, it is still too wide, but you do have the two quincunxes to the ascendant and of course trans-Pluto. Suggests that you need to focus on your own stuff, ascendant, on anything that you can channel from above, or you can mediate on the earth plane. And the sun is going to strengthen this, because in the upcoming days, the sextile will be closing, and Sun Vesta is always about focusing on ego development, focusing on our own stuff, focusing on what we see in the world, how we exercise our power, our mental and other capacities in the world. So this is the message of the Vernal Equinox for London. Most of the planetary pictures will be valid everywhere you need, anywhere you relocate the chart. And the most important message is that the moon stands alone. And this moon is in Libra and anaretic. And this doesn't give me such a good feeling. I think that the people of the earth are alone, and horrible and very powerful forces will be against us. So please be brave, and please do whatever you need to do on your own and at your level. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.